What's going on, everybody? I'm Tony. Appreciate you stopping by. Welcome to part 2 of the Honda Grom race bike build. Today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the mods that the bike's already got and talk about plans for the future. But that's not the Grom, so let's get that figured out. Well, that's more like it. Here we are, we're actually hanging out in the garage and I'm having second thoughts. It is way too nice outside to be doing this in here. It's 70 degrees in Texas. Yeah, it's Texas, but it's also December. It's never this warm, so I'm gonna get the bike out in the street and we'll take a look at it out there. All right, that is so much better. It's so nice out here. I figured get the bike out into the sun, be able to see a little bit better. The video might also be a little bit better. Now, before I just jump right into the bike, I want to talk a little bit about the backstory of buying the Grom. I've wanted one of these for a while now. It's just taken me forever to pull the trigger. It seems like Groms in the DFW area are really expensive. Like you could buy a brand new Grom for like $3,000 and everybody wants $2,500, $2,600, $2,700 for a used Grom with 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 miles on it. I just wasn't willing to spend that kind of money, so I did a little bit of searching, and I drove 6 hours to north of Little Rock in order to get this bike, but it's got all kinds of good stuff on it, as we'll see here in just a second. So 2015 Honda Grom, 450 miles, all kinds of mods. It was worth the drive because I actually got it for $1,800. So with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at what it's got and then talk about some of the future plans in order for me to get it race ready for the 2020 season. So let's go ahead and get this going. Let's get this underway. All right, so we've beat around the bush for far too long with this little bike. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the aftermarket mods that it's got. Well, we'll wait to the end to talk about what all we're gonna do for the build and then moving into next season, actually getting it track ready. We'll start at the front, move our way down, and then kind of zip towards the back. One of the first things that you see here from a control standpoint, it's got a set of Pro Taper handlebars on it. The model on these, the CR High, they're pretty dang nice. They're a little bit uncomfortable for me, so we'll talk about what we're gonna do there. Now, big reason I bought the bike, obviously price, but the fact that it came with suspension and really good suspension is probably the #1 reason that I pulled the trigger on these. So if you take a look, that little Ohlins sticker there, you can go ahead and put like a $300 price tag on that sticker. No, I'm just kidding. It's got Ohlins cartridges in the front of this, and it'll allow me to fine tune the suspension a little bit better for me. Now, if you look just past the front forks there, you'll notice that there's a cutout in the air intake box, a little mesh piece. That's just to allow a little bit more air into the filter. It's definitely not necessary. I might do an aftermarket intake, but that's kind of to be determined. Let's move to the side of the bike because doing that will actually allow us to look at 3 of the parts kind of all in one. So first, you'll notice it's got a set of aftermarket rear sets on it. Driven racing rear sets, made in the USA. Every single component on these is replaceable, and you know the big thing, they make the bike a little bit more comfortable and fine-tuned for me. From an engine standpoint, it's completely stock, but it does have an aftermarket clutch cover. It's got the Kitaco clutch cover on it. This is fun just simply because it's going to allow me to change the oil a little bit more efficiently. It has an oil filter and it's got that view sight. Not something that you find on a regular Grom. Moving on to the exhaust, so I'll be completely honest, when I first saw pictures of the bike, I wasn't sold on it. I didn't like the way that the exhaust looked. It's a two Brothers S1R exhaust, and you know what? Seeing it in person is completely different than either on video or pictures because it looks phenomenal and it sounds incredible as well. Now, that said, let's keep this thing upright because I'm not trying to replace it. Moving to the back here, you'll also notice again you see that Ohlins popping out, so it's got an Ohlins rear shock as well. This is the lower end model, so I can only adjust the preload and the compression, but you know what, it's still like I don't know, $350, $400, $450 that I didn't have to spend. With that said, that is pretty much the bike in a nutshell. Now, as mentioned, the engine is completely stock and it's going to stay that way just for longevity out on the track. I don't want to. I don't want to mess with any of that, any of the internal stuff. So, let's go ahead and get the bike back home, and we'll talk about some of the things that we got to do for the upcoming season to get this fully race ready.
Welcome back to the garage. All right, cool. Hey, so I hope you liked that detailed breakdown of everything that's already done to the bike. I mean, from exhaust to bars to rear sets to clutch covers, the fact that I got this for the price that I did with everything already done to it is definitely pretty cool, and it lightens the load on me a little bit in terms of what I have to do to the bike to get it race ready. So with that said, what do I have to do to get it race ready? First and foremost, it's not necessarily something that has to be done for me to get it onto the track, but for comfort, I've got to get rid of the bars that are currently on it. I'm going to swap that out for a set of Honda Mini Pro Taper bars. So I'm sticking with Pro Tapers. I'm just going to change the model. So that'll probably actually be the next video that I put out, that I release. So I'll put the bars on. I've got to get some new grips. You've seen the grips a couple of times. They're pretty beat up. I'm going to throw some Renthal's on there. And I think I'm also going to see if I can't find a quick response throttle tube for it. Not sure if they make those for the Grom. If you know, throw that in the comment section. I would greatly appreciate it. So starting with the bar, starting with the controls, then I'm probably going to move on to safety wiring the bike. Safety wiring a Grom isn't really that difficult, but there are definitely a couple of things that you've got to get done in order to be technically out on the racetrack. So that'll be kind of the second thing that I look at doing. I'll do a video on it, so just in case you're interested in what you actually have to have done, we can look at that together. I'll probably also pull in the Ninja 300 so you can see from a bigger bike standpoint what has to be done, what has to be safety wired in order for you to be quote unquote legal with a lot of the different race organizations throughout the United States. So that'll be the second thing. Third, the bodywork on this thing is way too pretty to be messing it up out on the track. So I'm gonna see if I can't find some used, damaged, wrecked bodywork off of an OG Grom, and then go through the process of getting it painted and trying my absolute best to make it pretty. Get the bars situated, move on to safety wiring, try and figure out some bodywork, and then we'll just kind of go from there. But with that said, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for dropping by. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next time. I'm Tony. See y'all later. Bye. Man, I am looking kind of homeless. Cut that out.